So when you look at the sports card market, let's get into some meat of this.
All right, awesome.
What do you see coming up in the future? What do you see the market at in 12 months, 18 months?
I mean, I've said this in videos. I think it's time for people to really understand that, sealed wax is a really good investment. I've said this before. I think, you have these big, huge banger cards that are worth thousands of dollars, right? But people right now, I mean, I know a couple of my buddies that they started off when COVID started, right? When this whole thing became really something in the mainstream media, they just would buy every set that come out, Pokemon, sports. They took like 10 grand and made it over 500,000 already. I mean, just packing out stuff. So I think right now too, I think people should really start to invest in just keeping wax sealed too. I think that's actually appreciating. I did some math. It was like 20% year over year from even like the little lower sets to obviously the bigger sets like National Treasures, Crown Royal stuff, Crown Royale, stuff like that. So it's kind of, that's where I'm at right now. And like, I've done the cards already. So like, I'm pretty familiar with, the market with the cards, but my next venture for me, to be honest, is I really want to invest and do some, sealed wax now, Pokemon and sports cards, and just test it out. So, and see what happens. But, all signs are pointing towards, for me at least, trying a new thing. And I think other people should, because they're having success as well. But don't get me wrong, you can still flip cards. People may think you can't flip cards. You're wrong. People, you just got to do your research and hunt. It's a lot harder to find those flips now. But if you like that's where eBay comes into play, right? You got to be willing to get up at 4 a.m. and find the deals. You got to find the sellers that have the great cards. People aren't willing to they're not willing to put in the work, and then they're sitting there complaining, going, "Why can't I make a sale on eBay? Why don't I get 1,000 subscribers on YouTube? Why don't I do this, do that?" You got to put in the work. Like, it's in anything in life. If you want to be great, you got to put in the work. Period.
Because I found on eBay that you may find a card ended. That's said the auction is ending at an odd time. Like whoever put it up, the auction is ending at an odd time, or the description does not allow a lot of people to find that card.
Absolutely.
And then you just run up on something.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like you can find that. For me personally, like I could be on eBay over an hour just searching, doing something else. Like something's in the background. Maybe my son is watching something or something's going on. I'm just searching, and I'll find something that, like, I've looked yesterday. I didn't see this, but I see it right now. So I agree with you on you don't know what you can find if you're just out there browsing.
Absolutely. And one of the things that eBay is really focusing on too, anyone that's watching, if you're familiar with how digital marketing works, that's my 9 to 5. So my 9 to 5 is, I literally build brands for people for a living. So one of the things, SEO is what it's called. So it's using different keywords to be found, just like a website, just like your social media. Everyone's gravitating towards that, even eBay now, even though it's a private marketplace. They use an SEO driven kind of feature and people don't know about. If you use different keywords and misplace them, right? If I go Michael Jordan PSA 9, but if I switch it and go PSA 9 Michael Jordan, you'll actually get different results and different cards that pop up.
That's true.
And people don't know that. So just play around with it. There's a lot of deals out there to still be found, a lot of deals. And there's plenty of people right now that are giving away their collections for a very low dollar amount that you can flip and make that first sale and really propel you on to making it, a little side hustle. So
TJ is dropping gems, people. I hope folks are listening to this because it's great knowledge. We got Big John here that's saying, yo, Feed the God says, I have a couple of sealed Pokemon boxes. Bought it at MSRP, and they both appreciated about at least 150%. So let me ask you this, TJ. On your focus on sealed wax, are you looking at certain years with certain rookies involved? Or what's a little bit of the strategy there?
Yeah, so my main thing right now, like, it really goes down to budget. So basically, how I really define like a goal, right, for me, I sit down and I literally plan it out for a month or two. I sit down and weigh out the pros, the cons. I go into the market. I see what's happening. I pay attention to social media. I didn't post videos for about 3.5 months because I was literally just researching. I was watching my competitors. I was watching what people are doing. I'm seeing the noise.
I'm gonna tell you this. So I track people, right?
Yeah.
And so definitely people that I notice have a certain work ethic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I knew you were not gone.
Nope.
I knew that.
I was planning. And sometimes too, it's like, you know, you got to sit back and watch for a little bit and to see what happens. And while everyone's, you know, sitting there going, man, I'm selling my sports cards. I'm kind of giving up. I sat there. He's like, you know what? I'm going to sell these cards. I'm going to make money on them because remember, I hunted these cards down at 4 a.m. I'm being dead honest with you. I hunted these cards down at 4 a.m., 12 at night when people are asleep. So I already know I make money. You know, I made at least, I mean, I did when I sold I actually sold my recent collection. Now I'm going to take all that money and, you know, I just got married too. So I had to use some of it for that. Yeah, thanks. And then I used it for some of that. But then I was sitting there planning on my next move. I said, you know what? Now I'm going to do, like you said, the sealed wax and just see. So it is a little disappointing because like I've seen huge names now just quit. It is really disappointing to me. Like, you know, a graded card investor was someone that I looked up to when I first started. I don't know if you know who that is. He was the PSA collector back in the day.
Okay.
He had to change.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, I know who that is.
He was the GOAT.
I used to watch his YouTube stuff all the time.
He's the GOAT. To me, like when I found him, he's the one who got me into it again. Seeing all that stuff. So it was just, yeah.
He was a master. He's a master at finding a deal on eBay.
Deals. And that's where I learned from.
Analyzing a picture on eBay. I learned a lot from watching this stuff. Bringing a card in, getting it graded, 9 or 10 usually, and keeping that thing moving. And we're talking about big names. We're talking about sets that people have forgot about. Just keeping it moving.
Yep. So just to go back to your question, like right now, my big thing is that I am, you know, looking for sealed wax. Like you said, how do you determine what to go for, what not to go for? You know, first off, like I said, I'm taking the same strategy that I did with sports cards where I got people, safe sellers, auctions ending at 4 a.m. I got stuff ending at 12 at night. I'm looking for, obviously, you know, you want to go for the rookies and stuff, and that's cool. But right now too, I'm actually shifting a lot of my focus away from basketball. I'm really going into football. I'm a big fan of Herbert. I love Justin Herbert, Josh Allen. I see a couple of your shows, FD. The people on here, they're saying that like Zach Wilson and these guys, Trevor Lawrence, are going to be good. I'm sitting over here going, "Oh
yeah, man, I'm losing it." Last night I was losing it. Yeah,
I was commenting.
Yeah, I saw you.
I was going crazy. You know, it's a big thing. It's like the cards are one thing, but I think the prestige around the set matters a lot. It's the same thing with Pokemon cards. Obviously, the prestige with the vintage stuff is just insane, right? That's where the most of the money at. Some of the modern sets, but it's the same. It's the same thing, right? In sports cards, you're going to make more on the sealed wax with higher population cards than you would if you're going to break that box open and just hope that you're going to get something. Hope. So, I mean, and then, you know, I'm even thinking about maybe doing, you know, some box breaking, which I know that's a question we'll get into later on, but, you know, even maybe doing that someday, just testing new things out, man. It's just trying to grow. And it's a very uncomfortable space because I've never been a box breaker, but I know how to do it because I've studied the grades. And then that's the thing. Now it's just implementing things. So, but
you know, one thing I'll say, just bouncing off what you just said, right?
Yeah.
Try different stuff. I try to challenge myself to look at different things a different way. So when I first started the channel, I was picking up a lot of graded cards. Then I started thinking about and talking to other people in the community about, how do you look at this? So how do you look at this? And I started learning more about analyzing the card when it's raw, understanding what you're dealing with. If you get that graded, then what's your margin on the card from going to raw to graded, and then how you can keep that going to maybe do something else that you want to do and
100%.
climb up to a different card or something. That wasn't my mindset, but I would just say always keep a mindset of trying something different. This hobby evolves very quickly. I think those who can keep a mind and adjust to different things and use social media, other avenues to learn from and also build whatever brand you're trying to build, help you out in the long run.
100%. And that's a big reason why I deleted my Instagram, is because I wanted to start over and apply all the new things that I learned to a new Instagram, a new brand, right? Because I admit it, like my first Instagram was like, I made that just when I knew nothing about Instagram, like literally nothing. And now I know, and now I just started a new one, doing that again. And one of the things you said about trying new things, big thing that I'm doing right now is I actually found a full-time editor to edit my videos. one thing about me, like I'm a control freak with that stuff because I like certain things are done a certain way. So even that stuff, you free up a ton of time, even though you may, may buy, a video to get edited and it costs you a little bit of money, $15, whatever. Even like stuff like that. If you outsource some of your work to people and you build a little team around you, one of these guys that I'm really looking at, his name's Alex Hormozy. I don't know if you know who that is. He's huge on social media.
Okay.
Look him up. You'll really like him. He hires out everybody from his TikTok to his Instagram to his YouTube. He just makes the content, sends it off to them, and then he posts it. He saves over, I think, hundreds of hours a month, and he makes $40,000 just extra cash flow from social. And this guy makes I think 150 million a year. He founded Gym Launch, and it was like a huge gym acquisition company. I know it's not sports cards, but he is a great person to look after because all he does is talk into the camera, give people really great advice, puts really good captions there, develops a brand, and there you go. So sometimes it's simpler than you think. Even in sports cards, a lot of people try to overcomplicate things and, oh man, I got to buy a $100,000 Charizard. I got to do this. If you're just real with people and honest and, transparent, right? And you give people stuff for free, and not charge them for every single thing, people are going to trust you. You're going to grow a following, and sometimes it's simpler than than you think. So
I totally agree because in the hobby we talk about the 6-figure cards, 7-figure cards, but we don't talk about just like I'm watching the other day at the National. There was a PSA 10 52 Mickey Mantle.
Yep.
That's a $35 million card. The gentleman who purchased it told a story about how he purchased it in 1991 for $50,000.
Mm-hmm.
Now, every big card, Jordan, PSA 10, Fleer, there's some other cards that are running around. At one point, those cards were quite affordable. Yep. We don't talk 100%. About the principles that take you from starting something to getting affordable cards before they take off. We talk about things that are 35,000 feet in the air.
Yep, 100%. And one of the things too is like we're in that transition now where the older cards are getting too known, if that makes sense. The little bit of higher pops now, and now the new wave of rare cards from football to baseball to basketball, all these cards, it's the new wave now. If you can capitalize on it now, you will be a millionaire. I promise you in 4 or 5 years when, Herbert and these guys, like, let's say they all become Hall of Famers, and sometimes you do got to take a chance. Obviously, you're not going to be dumb and pick up, 1,000 pop base Justin Herbert Prism cards, right? But sometimes you got to, buy one big card for $1,000 and see and kind of make that card work for you. It's just like stock market investment. I talk about it all the time on my channel. Anyone who's familiar with stock market, you got to take those same principles into growing a brand, but also into growing your portfolio. If you take in sound financial principles, you'll be sitting there with money in your pocket and you'll be like, oh my gosh, I just accumulated all these assets for basically nothing because I was smart and not an idiot. I didn't follow the hype. I didn't sit there and look at these guys, these big breakers that, basically get paid by Panini to break their boxes, right? Like
you're talking right now, man. Keep going. I say this stuff all the time.
I know it's social media is cool, but at the end of the day, you got to focus on your impact and what you're really doing with your videos and being unique, being you. And like I said, that's why I love your show. And that's not me just saying it because you're unique, you're you, you do your thing. People respect you, and it's good because you're yourself. You ain't trying to impress nobody. You're just enjoying it.
No, we do our thing the way we did before any cameras were on.
Absolutely.
And so I ask this question to people all the time. We talk about the 86 Fleer. Let's say that card of Mike Jordan or LeBron had a 1-on-1 or 1 out of 5 or 1 out of 10 gold from those years. So when you look at these cards now, like what you're talking about, and you look at these players, at some point after Steph Curry in basketball, after some of these other players, talking about Brady's coming to an end, what is Herbert, what is Burrow, what are these players going to do? Who's going to have 3 Super Bowls under their belt, 4, be a legend, go into the Hall of Fame with a card that's 1 out of 5 from their rookie year? Those are going to be very rare to find.
100%. And I think Joe Burrow has the best chance out of anybody to do that, to be honest with you. If you really take it down into intangibles, he impressed me so much this year. I mean, that's my hot take. I know people.
So I like Burrow a lot too, right? He gets
love
me.
him.
because he
Just
has
like-
that edge to him.
Yeah,
What about him excites you?
Probably his tenacity. I mean, he tears his ACL, whatever happened. I don't know, blows his knee out. He could have been done. He could have quit. I mean, stuff like that. You don't understand. I was a professional athlete myself. I got hurt all the time. No, never torn ACL, never. But I had people who did, and I've seen them recover. The blood, the sweat, the tears it takes you to get back at a certain level, and then he takes a team to Super Bowl. I mean, come on. If that don't show you a guy like that would keep me up at night. You know, I just reminds me like championship games we would lose. I go to bed at night over in Europe, and you're sitting there going, man, like, you know what? I take that newspaper, paste it right to my wall, and I'm seeing that every day. And I think Burrow does that. He's that type of player, from LSU to Bengals, and just taking a crappy team and making them great.
I agree with you.
He got an edge.
He definitely has an edge to him.